What's up? This is Mr. Second Passport, and today we're going to cover an alternative, inexpensive way to build on the beach of Ecuador on a lot like, say, the one I just mentioned yesterday that you could have for a little over $3 grand. Well, if you build something like what you're looking at right now, like a type of little hut or cabana or cabin, Ecuador style, made with a mix of bamboo and cement and a thatch roof. Ecuadorians are really good at building in this type of construction, and it's something I recommend. I did it myself. I built one very similar to what you're looking at for around $3,500. So, in essence, you could pick up a lot like the one I showed yesterday right on the beach for a little over $3 grand. Pick up build something like this and still have room for a little yard, maybe for planting, gardening, etc. And you could essentially have your beachfront home for under $10,000, maybe even closer to $7,000 or $8,000. If this is the type of lifestyle, or maybe just kind of a getaway place, surf getaway, that you're looking for. So let's get right to it. The first thing you want to keep in mind is instead of using metal rebar to kind of add to the aesthetics and the flex of something like this, because there are earthquakes on the coast of Ecuador, so you should, for me, it's all about the weight in the roof. Now, I'm not an engineer or anything, but the constructions that had a light roof didn't come down. They might have cracked just a little bit, but they didn't come down. The constructions that were built with a cement roof and the heavy ass roof, those are primarily the ones that came down, or in the big quake we had 4 years ago, or got damaged to a point of no return. So anyway, it's all about the thatch roof. There's a layer of heavy-duty plastic under here, in case you're wondering. When they do build this, it has as you can kind of see, a bamboo framing on the inside. Very nice. One thing is you have to have a local hop up every year or two and kind of clean out anything that may be nesting in here. But for me, that's the only drawback I can think of. It's nice and cool. It's way cooler than like a metal roof, in my opinion. What you might get on some other inexpensive constructions. Another thing to keep in mind is you definitely want the patio. You definitely want the little terrace here, because it kind of creates like a second ambiance in such a small setting. This whole thing is only about 25 by 5 meters, 25 meters, 250 feet on the inside, and add another meter by 5, another 5 meters squared here for a patio. That's about the smallest you can do it if you really want to go inexpensive. That's about the size I built. But you really want to build it up off the ground. That's the main thing for me. That's very, very important, because it'll keep the critters out. A big step up will help out your building a lot. Now, what I'm talking about here is all I can say is what I did, and this is what it looked like on the inside. Unfortunately, I sold it, and I can't locate a picture at this time of the inside, but it came out really well. I used this hut as my guide near Montanita, and it came out very similar to that, except instead of white, I had brick, just the naked brick, naked red brick instead of the white. So it kind of depends on you. It held up great in the earthquake, and anyway, here's what the inside looked like. It's about 5 by 5. In the back, here's the ocean on the front side. You definitely want to always build to maximize the view, right? It should be obvious, but for some reason a lot of Ecuadorians don't do it. And they won't tell you about it until you actually see it, and sometimes it'll be finished and then you'll be screwed if you're having someone build from a distance. So you put the bathroom here in the back. You can have like a little wraparound kitchen right next door. Here's the door into the bathroom. You want to make sure you have your window right above the sink to kind of add light to the kitchen, and I know particularly a lot of women like that, to be able to look outside when they're washing maybe men too. I personally have never thought about it, but women have brought that to my attention. It's nice to have a window over the sink, and then you can have like a little island here with some stools maybe, or you can cut that out and put just a table for two here. You really don't have room for both, and then you have a nice uh, maybe even a queen size bed here, and one or two here little bed stands, as well as you could have closets here on the wall, which is what I did. This wall of the bathroom on the outside turned out to be closets of the just for one or two people. And then out here on the balcony, you can have a little table as well with maybe a rocking chair or a hammock or something, like you see in this picture here. They had hammocks in this case on this beach hut. So that's kind of what you can do for around the price I'm saying. This is what I did. Uh, okay, and how much did I spend? Well, here it is. I kept track. 420 bucks on 60 cement sacks to build what you see here. Okay, and bamboo and wiring and tubing, a toilet sink, shower head, two wooden doors, nicely finished, cost me 160 bucks. Two windows with wooden framing, built locally on the coast, cost me 100 bucks, and another 100 bucks for the tubing, 150 bucks for stones for the base. And the total cost, along with the labor, it took about three people about a month to build, in my case. Okay, and I spent about $1,000 on three laborers who built mine, and it came out, like I said, almost identical, very similar to this, except it was brick instead of the block. And I spent about $2,500 on materials. So now there's other options too, right? You could get like this is one I bought and put up on the coast. All wooden. It's a prefab, so they just come and they click it together right there in front of you, and that's it. It takes maybe 1 or 2 days to put together right in front of you. It's all cut up, and there you go. The problem with this is when it's all wooden, I don't recommend it for the coast because do you know how fast wood just basically decomposes when it's right next to the ocean? So I don't really recommend it for beach. I learned the hard way. You constantly have to be refinishing. After 1 year, if you're not refinishing, something like this will look 20 years old, is what I'm getting at. So for the beach, maybe for the highlands, yes, something like that would be kind of nice. And also that metal roof, man, is that hot in the daytime on the inside. And boy, is it noisy when it rains. So all these things you really should keep in mind, you know, before you get one like that. Here's another idea. This looks closer to the one I built, as far as the brick and the bamboo and the thatch roof, right? And the wooden frame, the homemade, basically, wooden framed windows and door. There's another all bamboo hut. Now, with the wooden framed windows and the steel roof, I don't really recommend building like that either because, like I said, it'll be a constant battle to be refinishing all the time. You could do something like this, just thatch, window, and stone. You know, stone looks nice. A lot of people like it. It's nice and cool inside, and boy, it won't go anywhere. Something like we just saw here, with white painted block with bamboo and a thatch roof. Give it that homey local feeling. This is what I would do on a small lot. Maybe put 1 or 2 or 3 units right next to each other. Maybe share walls if you can do it right, so that, you know, nice thick with the chambers so that you don't hear from one to the next. But to optimize space, basically. I don't know if you'd optimize cost if doing it right, but to optimize space, you could put 1, 2, 3 right next to each other, each with a beautiful ocean view. And that way you could live in one and you could have two other renters. You could always try to have one full, is what I'm getting at. And when you're not around, maybe you could hire someone who could live in one of them to kind of keep the place occupied. This is just like a Jesus hut. You could do this for under $1,000. A lot of locals live like that. I don't think many foreigners could, on the stilts and everything, but hey, it's an idea. Then there's the teepee house or the triangle, which really optimizes space. I've seen those on the coast. You could do something like this, kind of an uplifted. If you're really right next to the ocean, you could consider something like this, but I wouldn't recommend wood, all wood, as I mentioned before. But a beautiful patio there. You could do something like we saw in the above, but extend your terrace out so that it's actually like a big patio. That would be nice, or deck. You do something like this. This is cement, and that thatch roof really gives it that local Ecuadorian flair. This is all wooden, and as I mentioned before, I wouldn't recommend that, but it's an idea. These are kind of the styles that you'll find, and you should always try to build in the local style. I learned because, and I've heard from stories of other expats, because this is how they know how to build, the locals. So if you're hiring locals, you shouldn't try to challenge them too much. Just lay it out there what you want, and let them go to work and let them do their thing. And if it's kind of a local thing, then then you'll be very impressed with their craftsmanship, I'm sure. Build something like this, one or two or three of these, and rent them out on a site like Airbnb. It's so easy, like building a Facebook page. You just publish it, and Airbnbers are actually looking for these kind of alternative housing, even tree houses, go crazy on Airbnb, that you could rent out. The public's already there in normal times, of course, once this whole COVID thing passes. Or you never know, these might actually be a hit while COVID's still in play, because maybe people want to get away. People want to get away. As long as they have internet, you don't even have to put a TV in them. Nothing that would attract thieves, I recommend. Rent each one, even if you got 40, 50 bucks a night for two people, which is totally doable. You're looking at 4,500 a month for something that that you spent maybe for three of them, maybe it's under, and the land under 15 for the whole thing, and then it's all profit. But a more realistic, maybe a 20 or 30% occupancy, you're still making your money back usually within a little over a year, or about 1 year, and then it's all profit and yours to enjoy from then on out. So it's definitely something to think about. Very interesting thing that I built, and one inexpensive way to kind of live off the grid and enjoy the beach lifestyle, at least part of the year, if that's what you're into. You know what I like even more than money? Subscribers. Don't forget to subscribe below and click the bell to be notified of more videos like this. I'm Mr. Second Passport. I'll talk to you later.